We're recording.
Hooray! Star Wars!
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yay!
Yay!
Yes!
May the 4th.
Yay.
Special guest Shelby.
Hello. Happy pot o'clock, my dudes.
What would you just say?
Pot o'clock.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome.
I'm stealing that.
Everyone needs catchphrases.
Brian has one.
Well, yeah,
Well, Brian has one, but I've never been on here, so I'm establishing a catchphrase.
yeah. Now you're committed to that forever.
Oh, yeah. No, I am.
Okay.
I guess I'm the only one with a catchphrase, I guess.
Super sad.
That sucks.
We'll work around it. We'll make one up for you on the spot.
We'll figure it out.
I'm such a disappointment. I'm sorry. This episode is a review of episode 1, The Phantom Menace,
Yes.
that we recently saw at the AMC by our home for May the 4th. It was released on May the 3rd, but I don't know why when I went to buy tickets, nobody had bought tickets for May the 4th yet.
Maybe because it's still a divisive movie in
I don't know
the
why
fandom.
it's divisive at all.
I understand. I fully understand. Because at some point we're going to do rankings on it, and everything I put below this film is something I'm probably going to call bad and trash, and anything I put above it I'm gonna praise and
God tier?
call it better. Well, no, I'm not going to say that, but it's a very defining movie in terms of quality for me. It's a threshold.
So is this just kind of like your placebo, your middle ground?
Kinda, yeah. There's things I like about this movie. There's a few things I don't like about this movie, but it also sets up a lot of good and bad things. So it's a love-hate relationship.
I already hate your opinion.
I'm sorry. Well, look, because it established for the future what lightsaber battles should be, because Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul is still arguably the best duel in the series. But then it also established things like an excessive amount of politics, midichlorians, Jar Jar Binks. So you take the good with the bad. But also it just established a lot of great characters too. It was bringing in Qui-Gon, Darth Maul, Mace Windu, basically the whole Jedi Order and all that stuff. So it was a lot, and I unfortunately was too young to fully remember experience it in the theater originally when it came out.
Really?
I do not remember it. I remember Attack of the Clones vividly. I do not remember seeing this in a theater though.
I remember seeing this when it first came out, and I remember seeing it like 10 times. My brothers took me once because it is the earliest memory I have of my brothers disregarding my opinion. When I was like, oh man, it was a little gruesome when they cut Darth Maul in half, and they were both like, he didn't get cut in half. And I was like, yeah, he got cut in half. I didn't drop an F word. I just added that for the story's sake. But I was like, yeah, he got cut in half. And then it took like seeing it again and being like, I think I pointed. Because I think I went with Sean, not Ryan, the second time. And I like pointed. I was like, he got cut in half. And then I think Sean got mad at me for speaking in the movie.
Do you see that he is not whole anymore?
Yeah. I was like, I don't even understand how you don't see him flailing and falling down this tube with two halves. It was weird.
What did you think happened?
What do they think?
Yeah,
I think they just thought
do you think happens if he doesn't get cut in
stabbed
half?
and then he fell.
So they were thinking like Qui-Gon instead.
Yeah. Essentially.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
here's the problem, Corey. I didn't have older brothers to take me to the movies 10 times. That's why I don't have the memory of it. Okay.
They didn't take me to the movie 10 times.
I grew up an only child. Okay.
Yeah, Brian, I'm well aware of this. I just reminded that you have a brother as you were speaking. But, like, I went with I think my dad took me one time. I think my dad took me the very first time. And then I think I begged to go see it again once or twice. And they took me. I mean, this is when movie visits were affordable. And then, like, it stopped me now. And then I went with a close family friend, the Torties. I think the Cameron and I think it was Bree took me. It was to leading up to I think I want to say my dad's birthday or something. I remember, and it was like to kill time before he got there. So they're like, oh hey, because they lived down the street from this theater. Before it was Roxy, it was United Artists, and they took me, and I remember we didn't. I don't think we got to the theater in time, and we missed like the first 10, 15 minutes. I was very sad. Shit, that might have started my whole "I never want to be late to a movie" thing.
Yeah, it's always.
Because I don't
it's
think I've
always,
been late to a movie since.
It's a childhood trauma.
And it's a childhood trauma. Yeah, the Torties traumatized me.
Shelby, how many times did you see it in theaters when it first came out? 10 or 15?
Oh,
Or once?
well, the thing about me is, as much as I am a Star Wars fiend now, I
You're welcome.
actually didn't ever watch or remember watching any of the Star Wars in their entirety until right before I started dating Corey. The only one I ever saw in theaters was Solo. And other than that, I didn't. I wasn't a Star Wars person
Late bloomer.
when
Okay,
I was
understood.
younger. Not at all. I was all about Harry Potter, and that was the only thing that ever mattered.
That's not surprising me knowing you that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a big surprise.
But then I felt bad about my nerd self, and I was like, you can't be nerdy and not, see all of the Star Wars. So when I was like 26, I was like, 26, 27? How old am I right now? Probably like 27. I was like, I'm going to watch all of these, and I'm going to talk to Corey while I do it.
Okay, so we
She
got it.
tweeted me like nicknames for all the creatures and stuff. It was pretty great.
It's all really good. And that's how I bagged him.
Now we have to check box the other primary nerd film franchise. When did you watch all the Lord of the Ring and films?
She probably saw.
Oh,
those
I've
in
been
the
watching I've
Okay.
been watching Lord of the Rings
Two out of
since
three.
I was
2 out of 3 is
since I
good.
was young.
theater. Yeah, their family doesn't mess around with those movies.
Yeah, we used to. My sister and her husband still do it, but we would watch all of the Lord of the Rings movies on New Year's Day.
Does that mean we're gonna go watch Return of the King when it comes back to theaters in June?
Is that a thing? Should I look that up?
Is it June 22nd? Because I still can't figure out why I have that day off.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's when it's coming out, and then we're gonna go watch.
Oh, okay. My brain knew.
We'll find out.
Sweet. But no, I never saw any of them in theaters, and finally seeing my favorite one in theaters, probably one of the highlights of my year.
I didn't see Fellowship, but I saw Two Towers and Return of the King in theaters.
Okay.
I think my dad showed me Fellowship so he could take me to Two Towers or something like that. I don't remember.
I read all the books first.
So if you watched all the Star Wars films like fairly back to back, kind of like how I did with Harry Potter, I think we get a very different perspective on them, as opposed to watching them over the course of decades. So like, what is your reference towards in terms of like sequels, prequels, originals, kind of a thing? Like, are you much more enjoyer of the prequels? More so than probably older fans?
I actually like the original and the prequels pretty evenly. All of the sequels are just
Okay.
But yeah, no, if I had to choose, if you're gonna like make me choose right now, I would say probably the prequels. That's where I would go.
Okay. That's okay.
Only because like Phantom Menace I could watch on a loop for 2 weeks and I would have zero complaints about it.
So do you like Jar Jar Binks or do you tolerate him?
Okay, so first of all, I'm in love with Jar Jar
You
Binks.
just opened
You
up a can of
know
worms.
that I am in love with Jar Jar Binks. And that, my friend, is the reason why people don't like this movie, is because of Jar Jar. And do you want to know my opinion on that? I think that's insane. That is insane to me. That people can judge an entire movie, or 3 movies even, all because of this cute little big-eared lizard dinosaur. Like,
I was going to go frog.
no, it's a little bit lizardy. But like,
He's on the
I
screen
don't
right now.
understand. I don't understand the Jar Jar hate. I will never get that.
Well, it was much worse when we were kids.
He's
It was
perfect.
much worse when we were kids.
He's adorable.
When you were talking about these movies at the lunch table and you mentioned Jar Jar, it was like you were blacklisted.
I don't understand that.
It's
He's comedic
because
relief. He's cute. He has a weird little way of talking.
Well, that's kind of why.
I think that I actually think that's why. I guess because he just I don't know, his characterization probably just pissed people off.
Well, because part of it is the originals. Well, I mean, for the most part, Star Wars usually take itself very seriously. It's not like Marvel where they throw in a bunch of quips for comedic effect all the time. The originals were like very serious across the board, and then you start a new a new set of 3 films, and you have this basically comedy relief, very kid friendly, slash annoying character in your face most of the film, and kind of like implants it into the main story more than necessary, kind of a thing. He turned into a scapegoat.
But
more
here's the
than
thing:
anything.
is when you were talking earlier about how politicized this movie is, you need a break from that. You need someone to kind of water that piece of the movie down, because if there were no Jar Jar, no comedy there, I feel like it would just be too much, because like the original trilogy, it's all super heavy and super serious.
Gritty.
Even when you get to like Han, it's still, as much as he jokes around, it's still serious, right? But when it comes to these and how political this particular movie is, I feel like Jar Jar was very, very, very good for these movies to just mellow it out a little bit.
What do you think of the theory that he is secretly a Sith Lord?
No,
No.
there's
I
just
don't care for that.
there's
theory
no
at
way.
all.
This goofy little dum-dum just couldn't. He couldn't be a Sith Lord. He is clumsy and weird and awkward, and there's no way there.
Okay.
But I love him, and he's really the reason why I fell in love with this movie in the first place, and the reason why I had to have my hands on a Phantom Menace Loungefly, and made Corey buy me a Jar Jar when we were at Disneyland one night, and I poked him out of said backpack so he could be out and in the fun.
Yeah, I remember that story. So they have at Galaxy's Edge, there's like a walkthrough or whatever, and there's shops on either side, kind of like we would get on a Star Wars planet,
Okay.
And one of them had like toys and stuffed characters, like stuffed animals or whatever. And it was like Jar Jar, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Lando, Chewbacca, I think Jabba, and I want to say Watto. And like there was Jar Jar, and she was like very like excitable over there being a Jar Jar, because you don't see a lot of Jar Jar Binks merchandise. So I was like looking at it, I was like, she's like, please, can you get me this? And I was like, well, that's fine, we can get it, but let's come back, because I don't want to carry. Why are you shaking your
I
head?
was gonna say she's like, that was never gonna happen.
What?
What, am I not telling the
No,
truth?
you are. I was just
Oh, okay. And so
shaking my head at you.
like we were starting to walk away, and the person working the checkout stand was like, don't wait, you're gonna forget. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I will not forget. She will not forget that this is here. We will not be leaving until we buy it.
Put it on
and the
layaway.
person was like, okay, that's what people say. And like, no, you don't understand. Like
you
I was
don't-
walking away,
you
I was
do
like,
not get it.
you do not understand. Like, we are definitely 100% walking back. If her feet are hurting too much, she will gladly walk the entire length of Disneyland from the front entrance to go back and we can get it.
So did you go back later that day, buy it, and then just like
Yeah.
and just like as you're turning away, and just look at him? bitch.
We
told
absolutely.
told you we'd be back.
The person wasn't there,
Oh,
I
that's too
really
bad.
wanted to come in and be like, "Hey, see, Jar Jar."
but when we got back, it was literally like she grabbed him and walked over to the check stand, and we paid and we left.
Well, the first few times that we went, every time we went into that store, I was like, God, I wish there was a Jar Jar one. I wish. Like, why? Why not? And Corey was always like, yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it'll be there. And like 5 or 6 times later, I was like, for what? Why? Why is there no Jar Jar? And so that day, I almost cried. I almost lost my mind. I was so excited because I got a Tauntaun a couple of visits before, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I'll make do with my T-Rex llama until they release a Jar Jar.
Yeah, and then they finally got Jar Jar, and we got it.
He's so cute.
Okay. That's fine.
Anyway, getting back to the movie.
There'll be plenty of people on both sides of that argument.
Honestly, this entire review could be me talking about Jar Jar, so I'm just gonna let it. I'm gonna let it go.
We're gonna
from now. We're
wait to
gonna
record that episode later.
Let's
I'm
talk
gonna
about
keep going.
We can talk about a character that everybody, I think pretty much everyone universally loves in Darth Maul. The most unfortunate part of this film about this film is that this was his only film because the character itself is just so fucking cool. I'm so glad that he got way more love in like the Clone Wars and Rebels. Having not finished Clone Wars, I got plenty from Rebels alone. Probably the coolest character that they've introduced in maybe ever. Like Maul is just awesome. I love Darth Maul. He's just so cool.
You shitting on Darth Vader right in front of me? Is that what we're doing?
Well, I mean that's not fair.
So you're saying outside of Vader,
outside of the originals, outside of the originals,
okay.
Of everyone they introduced in the
pre.
prequels,
Absolutely.
Maul was the coolest character.
Well, I would argue Qui-Gon's pretty
It's
fucking badass.
Definitely Qui-Gon. We did not get enough Qui-Gon time in
Definitely need
any way,
more.
shape, or form.
Well, I mean, Qui-Gon got a ton more. This is you can call it. This was his movie. Maul basically just got a couple scenes here and then badass introduction at the end. But yeah, we could have always have gone for more Qui-Gon.
Absolutely.
I think people were hoping for a little bit more than what we got when the Obi-Wan series came out.
Yeah, they wanted to see Qui-Gon, yeah. I mean, you got him.
Just a little bit.
Momentarily.
Momentarily, but I mean, what else do you expect from Liam Neeson? And show's not about him.
Yeah.
There was no real other purpose for him to serve.
And then that upcoming series, Alkalite, is a little too soon for Qui-Gon, so.
Yeah.
It's just not fair
Snub
that they
But
introduced
those-
this
again.
perfect character and then they're like, oh, and now he's dead.
Qui-Gon, though, they have those Star Wars shorts, one of which follows Ahsoka and the other one follows Count Dooku. And it follows Count Dooku as a Jedi Master and his Padawan is Qui-Gon. And then it follows him up until he leaves. There's another episode which is like just before he leaves the Jedi Order. And the scenes where either Qui-Gon's in it or he's talking about him are very good. Because he talks about, like, when he finds out that Qui-Gon's been killed, he's very sad. And he actually becomes angry with the Jedi Order for not taking his claim that there's a possible Sith sighting seriously. Because he's talking to... there's a moment he's talking to Yaddle and he's, like, very angry.
It's a little bit ironic coming from him.
Yeah.
No, it's good though, because I mean, in terms of like a character who like represents what a Jedi should be, if it wasn't Obi-Wan, it was Qui-Gon. Like it's a really good representation because, great Obi-Wan's throughout most of all the movies, but it's not a surprise that Qui-Gon was like the one that trained him and where he gets a lot of his traits from Qui-Gon, who was, because like he even says you could be on the Jedi Order, or on the Council if you just kind of like went with it. It's just like, no, I'm gonna do what being a Jedi is supposed to be about, and it's not about the ranks or anything like that. And it was just very selfless in the way that he went about as a Jedi. And yeah, it's just unfortunate we only got one good movie with him.
Yeah, he was like the perfect character.
Yeah. I there's a book they made which follows like early Qui-Gon and um thank you. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stories. I really want to read it.
What's that called? I would read that.
I don't know, but
I would get
have
an
it.
audiobook. I don't read books.
Afterward, I could tell you what it's called.
Okay.
I'm dying to read it, but it's like ugh. I also bought the Dooku book, but it's written as like a screenplay. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you made the mistake of starting the Game of Thrones books because that's gonna take a while.
Well, I have to read something else now because I don't like to read the same unless it's like really gripping. Well, I mean, Game of Thrones is, but it's like I'm not going to be as invested in it until I walk away from it a little bit. But
Well,
I
you,
will,
you also haven't reached the point where like
It got good.
it deviates from the
Yes.
show, so it's almost like a whole new story.
yes.
I need to get y'all back on track.
With what? Oh well.
We go on tangents. It's okay.
Oh no, I've sat in. I've sat in on your pods before. I know. So I'm here
You
to
have?
get you back on track. Yeah.
Which one did you sit in with?
I've done so many. I know.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
You know who I just do not care for in this movie is the Federation. They were just on the screen.
Oh, the
Newt Gunray?
the Trade Federation.
The
dudes?
Trade Federation dudes.
Newt Gunray.
Yeah. Yeah, don't not into them.
Okay.
They're just
Not-
they're just
They're
pa-
Nemoidians.
they're pawns. Is that what they're called?
Nemoidians, yeah.
They just irritate me.
They're called Nemoidians.
Yeah, they're kind of just rich, spineless dudes that just do whatever.
And maybe it's the way
Sidious
that
says.
their mouths move weird.
Well,
with, like,
they-
food
oh,
versus
give me a
like
break.
That is
it's
very
hard
true.
to watch.
Yeah,
it's
their
like watching
lips do
something
not
that's
follow.
like dubbed over.
Animatronics.
So
It is dubbed over. It's 1999. Give them a break.
listen, it's just like
I cannot watch.
it makes me a little
Nothing can
crazy.
get through our shields one more time with that guy's lips not matching a single word to the
Newt
sentence.
Gunray's got one of the best lines in episode 2.
I do like when he
does he?
says the droid to Kaz. That's one of my favorite things.
She can't do
he
that.
says.
Yeah, he says she can't do that. Shoot her or something.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then the line he has in this that I always crack up at is when he's talking to Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious is like, "Start landing your troops," and he goes, "But Lord Sidious, is that legal?"
It reminds me of when in every time it reminds me of Wizard of Oz when they're trying to decide if the witch is dead, and they're like, "But we have to do it legally." It just that is what pops into my head every time he says that because he sounds like one of the Munchkins.
Damn.
Just not into him. Not into those guys.
And then we get them for all three movies. They're like really impactful characters in terms of the story. I mean, in a sense, they're just like I said, they're just pawns that just do what they're told. But I mean, like like their role in the story is actually like really big.
No, it's huge, and that irritates me because they irritate me. But it's fine. I'm fine.
So did you love it when Anakin just cut them all down in about 30 seconds?
It's beautiful.
Getting back to the movie, we keep getting off the topic a little bit.
This is a Star Wars conversation. The movie,
No,
movie
no,
is,
no,
just,
it's very
is just
fitting.
to drive the conversation.
I'm naming this episode the May the 4th episode because I think episode 1 review ain't gonna do it. But how did we feel about seeing it in the theater? Because Shelby, this is your first time seeing a prequel in the theater. You've seen a sequel, an original, and a prequel now in a theater. Out of those 3 experiences, which did you prefer?
Well, hold on. Real quick before you answer. What was the original? What was the sequel?
She saw Rise of Skywalker. We were dating just as that had come out like a month before.
I'm so sorry.
And I consider that our Star Wars movie, so it has a special
I'm
place in my
so
heart.
sorry.
Even though
God
it was,
damn it, Brian.
Even though it was less than good at all.
Wow, I'm the only one that liked that one, huh?
I think that movie was doomed to fail.
I didn't
Before it
I
started.
didn't
You and
hate
me
it.
were hyped about it when the trailer came out.
I know. I was like, there might be a way to salvage this, and then they didn't.
No, I didn't hate it, but I don't sit in my room and turn on Disney and go, yes, I'm gonna watch Rise of Skywalker tonight.
yeah, I
You
know. It's
know?
always the same two. It's Empire or it's episode 1.
Okay, so what was the original then?
Empire.
Okay.
We saw Empire in Vegas. South Point was playing it.
Mm-hmm.
South Point was playing it.
Well, we've actually seen that twice.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because we saw it at the Rooftop Cinema on May 4th last year.
We did.
Yeah.
We did do that.
So what was your favorite experience?
Out of those, yeah, what was your favorite? It's hard to beat Rooftop because that is such a
It was
New
Oh my god, it was so cool.
refresh. We got to take Brian to one.
It
I think Brian would get a kick out of it. There's food and stuff. I mean, well, you can bring food, but so it's on a rooftop. We're getting off the topic again. So it's on a rooftop. I'll show you pictures when we're done recording.
Okay.
But it's like lounge seating, like they're like lawn chairs, but they're like kind of low to the ground, but they're comfy because they got like cushions and everything.
some of them are,
Some of them, if you pay the extra money, but I always do.
which we do. Yeah.
And by extra, before anyone listens, oh, God, you're saving money. It's only like $4 extra. And like you have this skyline. Nothing gets me more amped about like the industry I want to go into, movies and film, and what I'm doing than that skyline. And it's like you get there early enough. It's still light out. We always bring food. It's usually like, what's around that we can get. It's nothing we can get around here. It's always, I think we got Bulldog.
Dirt Dog
last time, and then I don't remember what we got the time before that. But I think it was like Five Guys or something.
No idea. Don't remember.
And it was such a cool experience. They give you headphones, and they're like high def headphones.
Okay.
So, and they're over the ear. So they're over the ear headphones, and they play on this giant screen, which is amazing. And like beforehand, they have music's playing.
They do trivia.
Okay, I'm all about it so far, except for the headphones. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
They're super
Go
comfy.
before you judge it.
No, they're super comfy. I'm weird about wearing headphones for too long of a period, but they're super, super comfy. Like, they're big, so they go, like, literally on your whole head, basically.
Yeah, and then
They're
I mean they
comfy.
serve alcohol. They have popcorn. They have candy.
Okay.
You get free popcorn with the
Prizes.
upgraded
They had
seats.
stickers when we went. They were handing out stickers. I wanted to take all of them.
Last time there was a fire on the skyline.
There was. I have pictures of it.
Okay.
And it was ironically in the direction of the Los Angeles County Jail. So I always wondered about that. But anyway, we drove by it actually, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Um,
No, it was cool. It's always super cool. We did Empire Strikes Back for May the 4th, and then the year prior for my birthday, we did Hocus Pocus. And both times were just beautiful.
magical.
wonderful.
All right, now let's try the question again. What was your favorite experience?
Brian really doesn't give a shit.
Honestly, okay, so that's hard. I mean, I feel like the ambiance of rooftop cinema really, really did it for me. Like, I love Empire Strikes Back. The first gift I ever gave Corey was an Empire Strikes Back blanket. And we make a joke about it all the time. So, like, I want to go there, but, like, I have been anticipating this for over a month since we bought the tickets for Phantom Menace.
Yep.
And it's all I've been thinking about. I tell everyone about it all the time at work. The entire week leading up, I was like, no, I'm off Saturday. I'm going to see Phantom Menace. And I was just so stoked. So I think just because this is one of my comfort movies, and Corey makes fun of me all the time, I'll walk in the room and it's on. I think this is my favorite. That was my favorite experience. But like,
And she
The
had to share it with
rooftop-
a family member.
the rooftop cinema one was definitely a very, very close overlapping second.
Okay.
Just because it was on a rooftop and it was fucking dope. And we got to go to Disneyland for
We
the
went to
day
Disneyland before,
beforehand.
yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool.
'Tis cool.
What's everyone's thoughts on pod racing?
Thoughts on pod racing?
Yeah.
It's
Interesting
probably
question.
one of the more underrated Star Wars things ever.
I find it really exciting. I always find it really exciting.
I think they should do. I don't know how no one's somebody's probably presented this to Disney once before, but how has no one come up to them and been like, "Hey, why don't we do like a pod racing show?"
Or at
Like,
least like
think
a
of
series
a-
of shorts or something.
Think of like a guy down on his luck. He's like over the hill, but he's a pod racer. You can reintroduce Sebulba and have the characters from, no matter what time you want to base it in. Your Odiamandrels, your Quadraneros, your Shelby's looking at me like I'm just making up names.
I mean, there are two places you can pull this off. You, of course, have Tatooine there. Boba Fett, cough, cough, available. Also, they made this whole fucking casino thing going on with the in the Last Jedi,
Yep.
which was completely pointless to that movie. But it's still a really cool thing that they have established exists in the
Star Wars
in the
world.
in the universe, and I don't know what screams something people are gonna gamble on more than the pod racing. They
Yeah.
even said in the movie everything around here revolves around gambling on those races.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the main driver of the economy in Tatooine. You can come up with something.
The pod racing is the reason why I was sad that this wasn't IMAX release. When I was looking at tickets, I think I was with Shelby. I was very sad when I saw that it was not in the IMAX theater. Like, it wasn't even at the IMAX Edwards over here. And it was incredibly sad because I saw episode 2 in IMAX. It was the first IMAX movie I think I ever saw. I saw it with Sean. I always wanted to see episode 1 in IMAX because I feel like that environment with the pod racing would melt my brain.
It would be really cool.
Like, and I can't even imagine how it would be for someone first seeing that movie. Like, if I could wipe my memory before walking in and see that, I would probably shit myself. Because that whole pod racing thing is, like, it's actually one of the reasons why it's not a comfort movie. Well, it is a comfort movie, but not like a go-to-sleep comfort movie for me. Because once it gets to the pod racing scene, like, my body knows to wake up and watch it.
Yeah, I can understand.
So, like, it's so action-packed and so fun. And, I mean, one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time, I have it on my PlayStation right now, is the pod racing game.
I was going to say, I know how much you love pod racing and how much you wanted more of it because every time you're playing your pod racing game, you're like, I just wish there was more pod racing in the movies.
Yeah, like, it sucks. But, like, I want more pod racing.
I wouldn't mind diving a little bit deeper into Sebulba.
Yeah, like,
honestly.
Sebulba was interesting because it was like, okay, he's not a slave. And then it's like, is he like... I mean, he's an asshole. Obviously, he's a dirty... he's like
He's
the
very-
Joel Embiid of pod racers.
it's such an easy into the whole world of the Hutts.
Yeah, and it was just so fascinating because it was like, even Watto says that, like, Sebulba never loses. He always wins. It's like, okay, but I would love to see, like, a retrospective of these Sebulba races because it's like the one instance in which we are exposed to it, the body count's pretty high.
Yeah, a good number of people died via crashes, sabotage, getting shot by
Yeah.
Tusken Raiders and all this other shit. Droid incompetence.
Yeah. And it's like, shit. I think when I saw it as a kid, the one moment that had me laughing so hard, and I always look forward to it when I was watching it, was Ben Quadraneros' 4-pod
Just
racer
splitting apart and blowing up.
basically turning off and then firing in every direction. It was hilarious because he's hitting the thing, and he hits it once and they go and it pops. It was great. By the way, his pod in the pod racing game, very hard to turn.
I was trying to figure out who the character was because I think he's so adorable. He's like a
Odie
deer dog. No,
which character are we talking about?
Clegg Holdfast.
He's the racer.
Yeah,
Let me see.
he looks like a deer.
Oh, the guy.
Oh yeah.
The guy who's like fixing his non-existent mustache.
Yeah, him and Mohanic.
I'm not gonna know the names.
He has a bajillion eyeballs, and he like bows.
Oh, he's
being introduced.
Oh yeah.
He's from. I don't know what this.
I'm
the
sure there is a
species is called, but they're from Malastare.
He's from Hawk.
I'm sure there's lore behind all of those
His
characters.
species,
'Cause
I'm pretty sure, is from Malastare.
Star Wars lore goes really deep.
Says his homeworld is Hawk, and he is Gron.
Okay.
So we're all in agreement. We want more pod racing.
We want more pod racing.
I wouldn't mind some more
Brian,
pod
maybe
racing
we should get
for sure.
into business together and write a pod racing.
How about we just make it real? Let's just do that.
That sounds.
That sounds
like a lawsuit,
that sounds like F1, but better.
but with no wheels.
Okay, so here's the thing that I don't understand. Now that we're on that subject.
Malastare is the planet that Sebulba species from.
Oh. What I don't understand about the pods and about like Land Cruisers is like they don't fly, right? Like if they go off a cliff, they're going down to the bottom, right?
Yeah,
but they like hover.
They're like hovering.
And
yeah.
like what is
what
what is the difference there? Like how is that? Oh.
What do you mean?
I don't understand how they can hover but they can't like fly. Like why can't they go any higher
Because
than
the
underground?
technology probably can't levitate them any higher than they are.
Science.
I don't get that. Whatever. It's fine.
Science. Well,
Just don't be that person who's like, I can't believe that, and then watches like Harry Potter is like, I believe it. You know what I mean?
I said I don't understand.
I know it, but I'm saying like those people. Me and Brian talk about them once in a while. We always catch it in like superhero movies. It's like that moment where it's like, when what's her face in Black Panther gets stabbed, and he's like, how did she not like bleed out in the fight with Prince Namor? And it's like, you're talking about there's all these things that you could get hung up on, and that's the one you're hanging your hat on. I mean, that's a terrible example because I believe in what he's saying, but like, I forget what other instance there is.
John Wick.
Oh, that's exactly. It's the. Get me fucking started on that.
The entirety of the fourth film.
There is a whole podcast on how we feel about John Wick already, and him getting hit by multiple cars and falling downstairs.
This podcast would do double the numbers if it was just me and Brian hanging out with microphones and everything, and Brian just says, Corey, what's bothering you in movies right now?
That's why I said the episode we just did on Civil War, when we shit on something and rant on it, I think those are our best. Those are my favorites. I think we should do this thing where for like 2 straight months, we shouldn't do nothing but watch trash movies, garbage movies, and just have fun shitting on them. I think that would
now,
be...
when you say trash movies, are we going down like Rotten Tomatoes and going to the most rotten, or what do you mean? Like, how would we...
Or are you going like movies that people think are good, but they're actually absolutely
Or
terrible?
are we going like...
a bit of both.
Are we revisiting movies we each hate and then doing it?
Ooh, it would be good to do like a dueling episode where like one of you loves it, one of you hates it.
To an extent. I love the idea. There's only one problem, is that is very hard to find movies that way. It is very hard to find movies that we have very differing opinions on.
Then you could probably get me involved in those because I'm pretty sure I have some pretty different opinions on movies.
We'll talk more about that.
There's a way to make this
sounds
work.
like a great idea, but
because there is a movie. There's 2 movies that we actually one. We can go through The Last Jedi and utterly destroy that movie for easily an hour.
except for one
Look, it's Darth
15-minute
Maul.
scene.
Considering Yeah.
Wait,
Considering
you both are.
the first time we saw The Last Jedi and we stood outside the movie theater and shat on it for an hour. We didn't go home. We just complained about that movie for an hour straight.
Do you remember we saw it with Ryan?
Yeah.
And remember, Ryan was very defensive about it.
Yeah. There
Ryan
was
like,
a
"You guys are just
population.
saying Empire Strikes Back, people thought the same thing." And I was like, I don't think they thought the same thing. I mean, I wasn't alive at that point, but...
I mean,
There
Ryan would
was-
argue with an eye sculpture, so I don't know that you can take that
There was
into account.
There was a population of people
I'm-
that defended The Last Jedi so much harder than they needed to. That was not the hill to die on.
Brian will remember this. We once made our Geeks Who Drink team name, The Last Jedi Sucks, and you know it. And it caused an issue with several teams and the host,
Oh my
who
god.
throughout the night when the name was said, was like, I don't agree with this statement, but the team, The Last Jedi Sucks. And what's funny is she would say,
but you wouldn't finish.
she would never finish it. She would stop at sucks. And I would say, I know. So she'd say, Team The Last Jedi Sucks. And I would go, I know. And she'd go, And it was so funny. Everybody was looking at us like we were an asshole. And it was great. If we ever get back into the trivia, and I plan to, I want to, because I know Topa Topa does it, last I heard.
They do. I mean, I was there a couple months ago. I
Then
remember
we're
there being
fucking
something
doing
about.
it, and that's the first team name we're making.
I think it was on like Thursdays.
It's
It
Thursday.
was something weird. Yeah, I'm saying weird.
School is
Actually,
out in 2 weeks.
that's an appropriate time or day of the week. Anyway, the movie. Yeah,
2
I
weeks.
will not defend The Last Jedi. I will defend The Phantom Menace or those people who still like to trash on the prequels. I think there's less of those people now that the sequels exist.
I do think the sequels are what's leading people to be very to change their stance on the prequels.
Yes. People can whine all they want. This
The-
movie did establish some very cool characters and some
This
important
movie
stuff.
is very cool, and I love it dearly, and I hold it very close to my heart. I put something on Facebook the other day. Only 2 people reacted to, because I think I'm a little too extreme for Facebook. Where I said, if you don't like the prequels, if you're a Star Wars fan that doesn't like the prequels, you're not a Star Wars fan. Here is why I said that. If the Duel of Fates is not, in your opinion, the best Star Wars duel in the entirety of the Star Wars universe, television shows, don't know why I would include it, but I'm going to do it, video games, the other movies, comic books, whatever. I want to have a conversation with you as to why. Because somebody on Twitter, I almost responded to it, and I almost broke my rule and not responding to people on Twitter. Somebody put that I don't want to hear from you if you think there's a lightsaber duel better than Obi-Wan versus Anakin on Mustafar. I can understand that logic. I can understand that argument. But she was wrong.
Look,
Because you don't understand as a Star Wars fan, and if you do, that is very weird, that the Duel of Fates was such an important part of the Star Wars mythos because they were essentially battling for how Anakin would be raised, or how it's the Duel of Fates because it's a fate for Anakin, the fate of Anakin essentially. And the one character that would have prevented the rise of Darth Vader was killed, and that was Qui-Gon. Because I don't care what anyone says. If George Lucas said something differently, I haven't heard it. But you know for a fact that if Qui-Gon lived, there is no way in hell, if the rest of the series plays out like it did, that he turns to the dark side. Because Qui-Gon was the dad that Anakin needed.
no, you're I understand people who will say Anakin versus Obi-Wan is the best because it's emotionally the peak, just because there's so much buildup going into it, and just the relationship between them.
If
In
you're
terms
making
of in terms of like all the choreography and stuff, they went all out for that too. But again, that does not happen without Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. That established how lightsaber duels were the expectations going forward. It introduced new types of lightsabers, for God's sakes. That the two-sided lightsaber was not a thing.
When I first saw that, I knew where I was. I was I know what theater I was in. I know which theater at Roxy was that theater. I remember it. I know for a fact.
See, I don't remember that one. I do remember.
do.
I remember vividly Yoda pulling out his lightsaber in episode 2.
That I remember too, because you want to know why?
Everyone started cheering.
I was gonna save this for whenever we do episode 2, which I know is gonna be like doctor's visit for Brian. When I remember that one so vividly, because when Yoda moves, I saw it with Sean. When Yoda moves his robe, puts his hand out to the lightsaber comes to his hand, a guy 6 rows behind me, and like 8 seats away, clear as day, I remember it, went, "Oh shit," and I lost it.
I was gonna say, is it like the Godzilla guy again, just like orgasming?
It was
back in the
not
theater?
to that extent. It was not that. Oh, first of all, that man, he finished. That man sitting next to Brian, when we saw Godzilla, when he powered up, and Brian would agree, he won't say it, that guy finished. The guy,
Did he have the Doom bucket with him?
Attack of the Clones? No, but he was like, that guy was, I remember that too, was like, he had like a vest on, and he was dressed in all black, and he had like a jacket, glasses, like a fuck ton of bracelets on, and I think like an Apple Watch. But the guy at Attack of the Clones, everybody was like, you want to know, and I know you've both been in a situation like this at the movies or a sporting event, whatever, where you start to feel it build up and people start losing control of what they're saying. So you don't necessarily hear them go, oh. Some of them will say, like the guy I just said, "Oh shit." But you'll hear people go, it's the same thing as at the top of the roller coaster, where people are like, You could hear the tension building in that fight. So that was fucking incredible. When I saw Darth Maul pull his lightsaber out, and he did the little twirly whirly, and then held it out, and then I'll pull it up right now if I have to. Lit one, and then the other one lit. First off, the first thing through my mind is, why was his lightsaber so big? But when he lit one and then the other lit, I don't remember what the crowd reaction was. I can just remember myself in that moment thinking, that was the coolest thing I ever saw.
You know, one of the more underrated shots, now that I really think about it, is when he first ambushes Qui-Gon and Anakin. And
which is a longer scene.
Yeah, and then they fly off, and then he, like, very expressively holds out his excessively long lightsaber to the point where you notice that the hilt is really big.
Yes.
And in that moment, you're like, why is that so big?
And that moment is so underrated because it's so... There's 2 or 3 moments, specifically on their time on Tatooine, where if you're not paying attention, you'd miss something that's really important. The first one being, you see in a random B shot or, B-roll or whatever you want to call it, of those things flying around trying to look for something. And then the second one is Qui-Gon is talking to Watto, and one flies by and looks and then turns away and then flies off. And then the third one being when they're trying to get to the ship and they're running, and a kid's like, Qui-Gon, sir, wait up, and he turns to look at him, and in the distance like when Anakin first speaks, you see Darth Maul in the background, like coming up.
Yeah.
And then when the camera switches to Qui-Gon and then switches back and he says, Anakin down or whatever, and you see him completely fly over Anakin and then do a fucking, like, corkscrew tilt-a-whirl fucking head over ass flip, turning on a lightsaber, and then they instantly go into it is very underrated. Speaking of which, we're coming up to that scene.
Yeah.
But like
It just happens really quick.
it happens
happens
very
really
quickly.
quick.
And that scene is longer. There's a shot, I haven't looked it up, I'm sure it's on YouTube, where they exchange blows on the ramp of the ship when it's like midair.
Oh.
And actually, if you watch it, you can kind of tell that it was cut because when Qui-Gon jumps onto the ship, he still looks like ready to fight.
Yeah.
And then when it cuts to Darth Maul, and then it cuts back to him, he's walking inside. It kind of just looks kind of junky. But I mean, I'm kind of talking out my ass now.
Yeah, maybe there's more to see. I don't think I've ever seen
I
it
will
before.
point it out.
Okay.
You know me. I'm so into these things that I just point these things out. It's like, I forget what movie I saw recently where I was like, there was another scene attached to the middle of this, and then I found it on TikTok. I was like, I knew it.
You know what? I want a count of how many swipe transitions are in all the Star Wars films.
That sounds like a drinking game. Have Shelby do it.
I'm in.
No, we'll die. We will die.
I am in.
I don't think you guys would make it to the start of Clone Wars.
I would
No, you would
absolutely
not.
make it. Don't challenge me. I'm in.
So, going back to the movie because we're catching up to our
I was
limit.
still on the movie.
This movie holds a special place in my heart. We took a family member who said he saw all of them or most of them. I don't know if this was one of them. I did not ask his parents in what order he's watched them or if he's watched all of them
I should probably ask that question.
because I forgot to, and I was more excited that I was going to hang out with him and get to take him to comic books. So I probably didn't ask because I was fearful as a Star Wars geek that I wouldn't want to take him to the movie after that, and I didn't want to take a big hit on the movie ticket. But this had so many moments that like I cherish in Star Wars. It's Duel of Fates, the pod racing, even that first scene after the title crawl leaves of the ship flying to the Trade Federation base ship thing, space station, whatever. Like those are huge moments in my childhood. So sorry, I got really personal. Also, apparently Greedo is in a deleted scene in the show. He's mentioned by name.
Huh.
By the other green alien.
Well, how about that?
He goes, yeah, my cousin Greedo. I was like, damn, man, Greedo can't catch a break.
They could throw all kinds of more Easter eggs and stuff into this.
Well, there is a ton. There's one, off topic again, when they're walking by that cafe or whatever that Sebulba's eating at, there's a guy with yellow, like, paint that goes across his eyes. That's an undercover Jedi.
Oh.
Who's actually Quinlan Voss.
Who?
Quinlan Voss. I'll show you.
That sounds familiar, but something non-Star Wars related for some reason.
Honestly, I always say the name a little bit slower when you want me to know who you're talking about.
Quinlan.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Now, do you think they...
Quinlan?
What order did that come in? Do you think, like, they retroactively
I believe
said
so,
that?
yes.
Or like they went back and decided, let's go through some of these movies and just start picking out characters and giving them backstories and stuff?
I want to say they went back.
Because that's always fun. That's always fun to just like insert stuff. Because it's like just having fun with the creativities of it. Yeah, I need a face. Let's see.
Shit.
Oh shit! Now you've done it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's in the show or the cartoons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that changed. Yeah, that's interesting.
And he's apparently, there's a story of him and Asajj Ventress falling in love that I really want to read, because Asajj Ventress is a pretty intense character. So
Yeah.
I just don't understand how Star Wars fans remember all of these people, especially the more like the smaller people, like the ones that you don't actually ever hear their names spoken.
like Darth Revan or Malgus or
They're all just like, all of the names are absolutely insane.
uh,
They're crazy.
Darth Nihilus,
Yeah. Well, because
who could consume planets.
yeah, but those people aren't like in the main movies. So,
But you said that there was a
Lies.
Darth Revan reference in Rise of Skywalker, but I could never find it. I mean, I haven't really looked it up, but I keep trying to rewind it and see if I can notice what something.
I don't know. I have to go back.
I'll go back.
Honestly.
it's years of rewatching. Years and years of rewatching. I've watched outside the sequels. I've watched all
Yeah,
of
it's
these
like-
movies well over 20 times.
Yeah, it's like when you watch, I think it's episode 1, might be 2, where the Millennium Falcon is in the background. It flies into the, I think it's episode 2, because I think it's when Anakin and Padme leave Coruscant. The Falcon flies into the spaceport.
Oh, you've definitely pointed this out before.
Believe me, if you wanted to watch these and want me to point out Easter eggs, I'll do it.
Well, until we named our guinea pig Plo Koon, I honestly did not realize that he was on the council.
Yeah.
In this way, he doesn't talk. He's like in the very
Right.
Yeah,
the
he's
very
just
end of the
there.
shot, like the very edge of the screen.
He doesn't talk till the cartoon.
He doesn't talk, and I'm like, ooh, that's Plo Koon. And then now that I know, like, it gets me. I'm very excited about it.
There's also just like in this movie, there's just casually the only other member of Yoda's race on the council, and
Yaddle.
just never seen again, or
Seattle.
no real backstory.
It's a female.
And, yeah,
There's not any fucking backstory on Yoda
Well, I mean,
and his
yeah,
race.
because again they don't, when they made the movies, then they didn't plan all. I'm sure they didn't.
No, they
plan
did not. Well, first off,
90% of it, and then everything else established there.
LucasArts did not have the pull to start any of that shit. Disney bought them, and I mean, they upped the price of tickets at Disneyland $1 and were financed the entire movie. So, like, you know what I mean?
Fun fact: growing up, my grandma actually had like probably a 1.5 foot tall Yoda on the mantle. That was a VHS rewinder. And that's the reason why I knew Yoda growing up. 'Cause
That
again,
is a
I had
collector's item.
seen some of them like in passing, you know, but like that was the reason why I knew who Yoda in Star Wars was, because she just had this random VHS rewinder. Wild. And it was, of course, at that point it was the original creepy little weird Yoda.
Oh, the puppet. Yeah, it was a puppet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
was
that
wild.
was
And it just sat on, like, her fireplace is like a stone step that's like 6 inches tall, and it just sat next to the TV. And it was the strangest thing, because we were never a Star Wars family. I don't know when or how. I mean,
it was just cool.
my papa is a mover, so we would like take random things from houses when they were getting rid of it. So I'm guessing that's how we got it. But I will never forget that VHS reminder. Like, for what? For why? Who made that? For what reason?
You know, Yoda still being the puppet is still something I'm not being a puppet in this movie is still something that catches me off guard. I
Yeah,
still expect to see the original Yoda in the first one, because that's what made the episode cool. Episode 2 so cool, because it was the first time they could actually have him participate in a lightsaber duel, because it was the first time he wasn't a puppet.
Yeah. I wish they would, on Disney Plus, I wish they would have each version of the movies. Like the original unedited ones. Then I think it was the late 90s, they had the I think it's called Lucas edited. Came in I have the original ones up here, but there was one that came in like, they were very rare or hard to get. They were gold. It was gold on the tapes, like a gold border on it and stuff like that. I could pull it up and show you.
I would like to watch like the original
Yeah,
release
the original cuts of
A New
all
Ho-
of the
of A New
movies. I
Hope.
would love to watch.
I want to see the ugly as fuck Emperor in all his lore
Yeah,
before
yeah.
they redid all that.
Well,
And
that's why I like to watch Harry Potter when it comes on TV, because they always do the like the director's cut, the extended versions, and then when they put them on Peacock, Harry Potter is always the director's cut.
Really?
That's what.
I
Yeah,
Lord
and
of
that's
the Rings
the time where
has
you
done
actually
this-
get
same
the
thing.
deadly scene in Deathly Hallows.
You don't. Yeah, they don't.
You actually get it that time.
You know, those are just better when like you don't even see the non-director's cuts thing of stuff like that anymore. It's just like, yeah, anytime Lord of the Rings is on TV, it's the extended edition.
Yeah,
No,
it's
in
fantastic.
theaters. Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's 4 hours long. That's totally fine with us.
So
I'm
I
in.
forgot what Aura Singh, that girl right there, bounty hunter, very popular in the Legends series.
Now, was she already there, or did they digitally insert?
She was in the original. I
Okay.
remember she was because at the time, like you guys probably, you know, I mean, I don't want to build up my ego too much, but I'm sure you guys appreciate or think it's at least a little bit neat when I'm like, hey, that's so and so, or that's that's a foreshadow, whatever.
No,
That
yeah, I
was
never
Sean
have any
to
idea what
me.
you're talking about, but I love that you know
I know
it.
you don't, and it's somewhat frustrating.
But I love that you do it.
But Sean was that for me because Sean would say, "Oh, that's Aura Singh. She was a bounty hunter," you know. And I was always thankful when he wanted to share that information with me because it was like, cool. I have something now I could share with people like that. My brother showed me, and it was always, you know, I always had one up on everybody because it was like, you know, oh, that's Aura Singh, or that was Jabba the Hutt, you know.
Did you know that Tusken Raider that shot that one dude that blew up the pod, that was the first one that Anakin killed?
I did not know that.
Because
that's a thing.
no, it's bullshit. I just made it up.
That was so fucking legit.
You should have just gone with that. You're the worst. You should have just gone
I
with
felt
it.
like a fucking idiot, and now all of a sudden I'm.
Yeah, you had something on him
I went
for
from-
like 7 seconds.
I went from Brian just fucking dunked on me to being angry that that's not an actual thing.
Do they take is it like a circuit? Like, do they take the same route?
Yeah.
All 3 laps? It's
yeah,
the same? Okay.
Yeah, the pod race is just the same thing 3 times.
But there's 2 or 3 different versions of the Boot to Eve race in the pod racing game.
Yeah, see, he knew what the name of the race was called. I would never have remembered that.
Seriously?
No.
Well, it's not called the Boot to Eve race. It's on Boot to Eve. I just called it that.
Oh, okay.
It's called something else. I forget what it's called.
We topped an hour. Look at that. Look at us go.
I know. We're
Haven't
testing
even
the limits. I'm going to have to cut this in half and edit it now.
gone to the good stuff.
We still,
good
have to,
stuff?
we still have to do the rating.
We do have to do the rating.
Is that the good stuff? What's the good stuff?
No, it was more a joke
Oh.
than anything because the
This
entire
whole
movie
episode
is
is-
the yeah, the whole thing is the good stuff.
So yeah, let's just get to that because we're already past an hour.
I do want to say, are we going favorite scenes? Is that part of the rating? Because
Yes.
okay, all right, never mind.
I have the movie on.
Boon to Eve classic. That is what it's called.
Oh, okay. All right. So favorite shot.
Darth Maul pulling out his double lightsaber. Is that not fair?
During the Duel of Fates?
Yeah.
Valid. Shelby.
I don't want to go next.
Mine would probably have to be. There's a cool. Okay, I have to answer it twofold. One would be like my childhood favorite, and one is like shot, like technical. So it would have to be. I think it's a pretty cool shot when the battle droids' heads are coming up. That's my technical
When
pick.
they're unraveling.
That is a good one. That's
so
a
dope.
really good one.
That, and then if not that, it would be, what would it be? There's a scene in the pod racing where, I think it's like all the pods are flying past Anakin because he can't start. That's pretty sick. There's so many in here I can't really talk it down. But it would probably be that.
Shall we?
Well, I have like a favorite line from the movie, and I
know-
have like a favorite shot or a favorite
Those are
scene.
different things.
Are we doing? Is that
We're
a
doing
thing
all three
too?
of them. We do a shot, a line of dialogue, and a scene.
Oh gosh.
So
So I had
the
to pick an
shot-
actual shot.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's rough. What would my favorite shot from this movie be? As like sad and morbid as it is, I really like the Qui-Gon in flames shot where it's just, when they're at his little
That's
funeral
a pretty
thing.
cool shot. It is a parallel to Vader's. So
Yeah. I would say
Yeah.
favorite shot would definitely be that one.
Okay, sounds good. Next, what was it? Scenes?
no dialogue.
Dialogue?
Always between.
Oh shit! I didn't come prepared with dialogue.
Dialogue would probably have to be for me. There's it's a Qui-Gon one line where he says it's a little bit of a conversation, so I guess dialogue's kind of more correct. Where he's talking to Anakin, and Anakin's like, "You have a laser sword," and he goes, "Maybe I killed a Jedi. I took it from him." He goes, "You can't kill a Jedi. No one could kill a Jedi." And it's like, yeah, in hindsight now, it's like, you killed a lot of them.
Yeah,
All of them.
you set the
except
high
two.
score, little buddy.
But at the time, like, it's a fascinating kind of line. So
I like the little after when they're in the council room and they kind of say, "No, we're not going to train Anakin," kind of a thing, and Qui-Gon kind of just gives the whole. Well, I'll take him then because
Obi-Wan's ready.
Obi-Wan's ready. He's smart, headstrong. Can't really learn anything else from me, kind of a thing.
but he kind of puts him down. I didn't realize that until we just saw it this past weekend. But he's headstrong. He didn't say headstrong like it's like smart. Like he wasn't meaning it as like a compliment. At least I didn't hear it like that.
There's still room to improve.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but like that's for him to do on
Yes.
his own. That's not something I'm gonna turn around and just iron out. That's can only go so far. Shelby, do you have a line of dialogue? This is usually the one. This is the one I pass on by far the
He
most. 'cause
passes on it a
I
lot.
always
It
forget.
drives me nuts.
A lot of movies don't have standout
But, like,
dialogue.
when I made the thing, when we talked about it on the first episode when we revamped all this, it doesn't have to be a line of dialogue. It could be a joke. It could be a line. It could be an entire back and forth.
All right, I like it when Jar Jar Binks puts his head in the pot and the power couplings, and he's like, my tongue is down.
I mean, shit. Brian could have easily picked There's Always a Bigger Fish.
I could have. Shelby, what's your
Shelby's
favorite
probably
line?
gonna do that.
There's always a bigger
Shelby's
fish.
going to pick the one. The fish name.
No, it's the part where Qui-Gon first meets Jar Jar, and he asks him if he's brainless. Jar Jar's like, I spec. My line is, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent, because
Yeah.
That's a great one.
that is
Great one.
that is
Great.
kind of a line that I live my life by, and I
great
wish
pull
I
by
could
you.
say to more people.
A great pull.
I
He
by
just
you.
trashed him right off the bat. Also, can we reveal? He was not going to die from that thing. It would have bumped him and he would have fallen over.
You don't
Oh, the
know.
tank thing?
Yeah, that thing was moving so slow.
He would not have he wouldn't have dropped to the ground though.
He falls over on accident
with
all the
Jar
time.
Jar. But this would be the time that he actually would get schmacked by that thing.
Well, he probably also, Jar Jar doesn't know what that thing is. So he probably wouldn't know. Him not being able to understand it, it makes sense.
like,
seen
does
the-
he even know that it's floating? Does he know that he can drop down and just go right over him? Probably not.
No, but it gives him a little bump. It's only going like 5 miles an hour, and then he just falls over and cowers like he usually does around all the.
You're
the
just
big
sitting
scary
there
things.
hoping that we could go back in time and Jar Jar could be immediately killed off. And I don't appreciate
no,
that.
No, because
I don't appreciate it.
Because without Jar Jar, they can't get to the city because they have to go through the core of the planet. He has a role in the story. In fact, he more or less is one of the primary reasons that the Empire exists, because he got Palpatine the emergency powers. So his role in the story is probably like secretly one of the bigger ones that people don't realize. He just didn't need to be in the movie that much.
And like
There-
Padme
there-
literally
there
gives him
is-
her place.
There is no reason he should have gone with Qui-Gon to Tatooine. On Tatooine. He served no purpose being there.
Yeah, he really shouldn't have.
Don't worry
He
about.
was
Don't
a
worry about what he
huge
does
liability.
in his free
Easter egg.
time. Don't worry about
Yeah,
what he
there
does.
was. You're right.
All right. Scene.
Favorite scene. Duel of Fates. I can't not pick Duel of Fates.
You can. How can we not? It's not fair. There's like two parts of it. There's the initial fight where it's actually a
initial.
2-on-1, and then there's the 1-on-1 with Maul and Qui-Gon, and then there's the 1-on-1 with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
The beginning.
They're all ridiculous. They're all ridiculous. Oh, I love the ending. I'll take Maul and Obi-Wan.
The post Qui-Gon death.
Yeah.
Solid pick by you.
You know what I love about that?
What?
Is as much as I absolutely love the score, I love that there's no music. It's just straight
Yes.
lightsaber duel.
And I like the choreography because I think I made a reel out of that scene when the door first opens and he comes out to attack.
Yeah.
Because there's that moment where Darth Maul swings one side and then swings another, and he blocks at the front and then blocks it like that.
The back,
it's
and
pretty
then the
cool.
front. Well, they used that scene twice.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I didn't
They
know.
do it like full wide shot, and then they do one like close up, so you don't really notice. But it's yeah. I had that whole scene just memorized in my head. I've watched it so many times.
I did not know that.
Shelby, favorite scene?
Well, it's not Duel of the Fates. So mine is when they are meeting in like the secret place with the Gungans, and decoy Padme starts talking, and then real Padme comes out and is like, I'm Padme.
Oh, Keira Knightley.
And then it pans to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they kind of just look at each other and have like the slightest smirk on their face. And I think that is hilarious because I think in that moment, I think Obi-Wan would have looked at Qui-Gon and been like, do you feel dumb for everything that you've said about the queen and trusting her judgment now? Do you feel dumb? And it's just, I think that scene is hilarious and perfect.
Surprise! Also reckless.
So funny. Qui-Gon shows no remorse. He just kind of smirks a little bit.
I have one question.
What is it?
How come they didn't just take his mom and leave?
Because she has a bomb
an
in her.
explosive.
Didn't you hear that?
Oh,
Sam?
you're right. Okay, thank you.
Come on, man.
Yeah, and they said that they don't.
Where's his? Does he have his
Nobody
on?
knows.
Does he have his this entire time?
No, it gets they.
I think
when
once
they-
he gets sold, they
he's sold, they have to
deactivate
deactivate it.
And he's been building a thing to try to trace
Find
where it is. He says that at the dinner table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, it's just something that just caught my mind, like right here. It's just like, wait, hold on. Why didn't they just leave again?
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in Suicide Squad where they inject them with
What if they're? What if they?
explosives.
What if they just didn't have that one line of dialogue in, and Darth Vader just had this explosive in his neck this entire fucking time, and anyone could have just had the thing to just like, oh, series is over. Just the little
And
tiniest plot hole that ruins everything.
how do you save a galaxy? Just fucking activate his bomb.
There's a button that's like in a pile of junk in the back of a bar on Tatooine.
Seriously. Waldo has it somewhere.
What rating are we gonna? What do you got for rating? Out of 50.
I'm gonna upset Shelby when
Oh, you know what
when
I'm
I get my
rating.
number.
Shit.
Well, who wants to go first?
36.
Kind of a bitch.
36.
You're kind of a bitch. Kind of a bitch, Brian.
I need to leave room for all the ones I'm gonna place above it.
Ugh.
Shelby, you want to go next?
You know what I'm rating this.
What are you rating?
This movie is perfection. This movie is everything that I need
Okay.
in a movie, right? If I could go above 50, I would go above 50. But I won't because that's the threshold. So
All right, just gave it a 50.
we're going 50.
due to my biasness, I can't be fair in my rating of this movie. I don't think it's fair. And I don't like being put on the spot and having to put a number on this movie because I hold it in such high regard, especially since I first saw it as a kid. So I'm gonna say 50 because
Damn. Okay.
like I said, I can't. I love it. I love its flaws. I love the feeling it gives me when I watch it. And there's parts of it that I love so much that I will frequently just bring the scenes up on my phone and watch them.
And it's not because Shelby has a weapon in her hand right now.
Shelby holds no sway in my ratings whatsoever. This movie gave us an origin story, pod racing, the best lightsaber duel ever, one of the greatest villains that since then they've squandered.
And Jar Jar Binks.
And I just can't not give it a 50. So.
And with that, there is an opening on the Team Alternative podcast because Brian may take an extended vacation and no one's going to know where he is. He might disappear.
Look.
Who really knows?
Suddenly turned into a Sopranos episode.
I'm just going to tweet out my location going
You
forward.
might want to leave your geolocation on.
I'm gonna start doing one of those nonstop live streams, so I'm always
Jesus.
publicly available.
Keep yourself on the map, Brian.
We're good.